Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I, too, want to go on record to commend you for your effort. This is probably the most critical initiative on the docket this year. You're talking with many of the residents in Ward 7. There's exhaustion and frustration with anything that's been, witnessed and publicized. And I do share some of the strong sentiments of Mr. Butler in that, just as a citizen and resident in Ward 7, I'm looking for more. I know we're not trying to just take a reactive position, which I don't think this is really about reactive. I think it's about closing some of the loopholes that have gotten us to this place. But my frustration is we're dealing with intelligent adults who some long document has to be created to tell them what's right and wrong. I think that started at home years ago. And I think that what people are doing wrong knew they were doing wrong when they were doing it. They just didn't count on getting caught. So I think the reality is we have elected officials who've lost connection in the focus on what they were really elected to do, and that's to serve their constituents. Now, constituent services to me in Ward 7 is highly needed. As someone who just in the past 3 weeks got a call from a former student who was about to be evicted, and there was no money available anywhere in Ward 7 to help this individual and family, and I had to go through personal friends, and we helped that family to stay in the apartment for this month. Can't guarantee what's going to happen, but there's a real need for constituent services in Ward 7. So maybe there's a special allowance that we don't have to reduce hours. I don't know if you can write that in there, but I know every bit of $80,000 will be necessary. But let me tell you how I feel good about how this works, because I've been one who've run a nonprofit 501c3 for about 7 years in this city. And more than 90% of all my funding has come from private donors and corporations who've helped me to go on Ward 7 and 8 and change thousands of lives. So I know how to get corporations to invest in improving the livelihood and quality of life. So I've seen it work. So I think constituent services with that concept as a way to do it absolutely works. But the problem I have is the abuse, because I just think that, consultants and supplies and catering and salaries and all these kind of things that we've seen are the things that are frustrating the constituents when they see, listen, I'm hurting. This economy, I used to work. The young lady I referred to earlier, she was working up until about 5 months ago. So her life drastically changed. So we're not talking about somebody who can't pay their bill because they have some social issue or they don't deserve or they don't vote. This young lady has voted before and will vote in the near future. But the reality is there is a real perception problem. And I think that it would behoove this council to put more teeth. I think the independent board is a great step. However, I will make one little suggestion. There are many that have been made all day, that maybe we look at, instead of possibly a proposed 3-year, maybe we look at a 5-year, because then the mayor in position doesn't have as much influence, because that mayor isn't going to dictate, unless they get reelected, my term. So maybe 1 5-year term is something we look at for that, because I think an independent review board is absolutely a great step in the right direction. I got a little off script because I'm just frustrated with what we're going through as a city. This is going way beyond the local news and our living rooms and barbershops. The nation is watching. And I think that we have some very intelligent and capable elected officials. However, I think that that's true. The Bible says a little leaven spoils the whole loaf. And the reality is, when it comes down to constituent services and executing your position in your job, you'll know people by the fruit they bear. And the reality is that's what we're trying to legislate. And I commend you. I commend all the members of the committee, and I look forward to continue to work this with you as a resident and furthermore until we get this right. But it starts with the heart and the nature of the people that we put in these seats, and that's what has to change. Thank you very much.